Good evening. It's 8:23 on April 4th, 2021. Fortunately, I'm alive. I'm not dead. I'm grateful for that. You know, as somebody that's been subjected for most of my life to some form of neuro linguistic programming, I understand nuances of language and amber accents, tones. And at one point in my life, I was madly in love with somebody for whom English was not a first language. He had a relationship with his language that was very, very deep and rich, and I did not speak his language. And he would often recite poetry or discuss matters in his native language. And even if I didn't understand the specific words, just listening to him, his body language, the conviction behind what he said, the way he felt and resonated in the room with me, communicated a great deal. He had a particular air about him, almost as if it was a sort of linguistic supremacy. He'd found English to be an inferior language. He was very blunt about this at times. When it comes to actual construction of language, or even the beauty of a font, I have to admit that the fact that I only am fluent in English and that my other potential linguistic capabilities thus far is rather remedial is something that I find to be a shortcoming. I've tried to teach myself other languages. I've tried to seek formal instruction in other languages. But I also understand that, like I said, since I was a very young person, I have been a test subject for a variety of processes up to and including neurolinguistic programming. See, if somebody tells you up front that that's what's happening, you can put yourself into a mindset of readiness and be able to understand the context. But if somebody intentionally gives you a misrepresentation of the context and then they engage in a particular action, well, then this also has an inherent programmatic influence. It can take a very long time for you to decompress this and or attempt to recapitulate it in a manner that actually is either authentic or useful. So if you're going to broker a treaty using me and my life and my assets that is communicated as a primary language that is not my own, you need to be aware there are consequences. You understand? And just because I do not speak that language myself is either my first or my second or my third or my fourth or my fifth or my sixth. And I would not have even learned that language in that regard because there would have been other languages I would have learned first. Does not mean you're entitled to expect me to participate in any compelled performance in its regard. And I find it very disrespectful to everybody for whom it is a first language that is being defrauded of the potential they have to communicate their convictions and their sentiments accurately and fluently in the language they're best suited to. You do not have a monopoly on the language of your country or your culture. None of us do. And if you're going to take it upon yourself to engage in matters at that level, then it behooves you to follow through. You've not followed through. Now, my understanding is when you did that, the two individuals you used to broker that deal were not aware that that was the intent at the time. I was not aware that that was the intent at the time. But I am now. And I understand the logic of it. What I don't understand is the foolishness that has been pursued ever since. It won't abide. And not only will it not abide, it won't be successful. And that would be a loss for everybody involved. You understand? Since I've been in Texas, I haven't even been in an environment where I can encounter people for whom the first languages involved are spoken. There's no way you can expect to honor the terms of the deal you've brokered using me and anybody else if you can't even get the language correct. And until such time as this is rectified, and I have confirmation that the origin of this particular commitment either consented or was able to meet the demands, you're not going to be able to follow through. I apologize. I was really hoping by now we would be more mature and sophisticated. But there's a reason you haven't given me more than one person as a witness for a very substantial amount of time. That reason's been revealed, and it no longer has utility. It's 8:29 p.m. on April 4th, 2021 in Dallas, Texas. I understand there's a different date indicator where this is of relevance.